Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Then celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Hello. And I got my friends on stage already as well. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Dr. Roxana, glad you're here. Michelle Ramos, of course, I'm glad you're here. And Michelle B, glad you're here as well. Thank you so much. Welcome to Book to Business. My favorite rooms. Because we've never been doing this for God knows how long. A long time. But we get to talk about what gives me joy. What gives me joy is talking books, doing books, writing books, publishing books. Now, this morning's joy was publishing Professor Roxana's latest book, which really gives me joy. The only thing that's better than a day like today for me is that day when we get the first proof copy in the post. Actually seeing the book become a book in people's hands. That's what cheers me up, and I can't wait. I really can't. Now, there's another day that's better than that. That's when I get the book with the gold bestseller badge on it. I'm just telling you my crazy little way of thinking. But I love this room. I love the topic. I think we can all do better at making sure our books are aligned. I shall explain that in a second. Josh, welcome. I heard one of Josh's songs yesterday. And Josh, it's so good to hear you getting back to your usual self, my friend. And I guess the beauty of the post and the song was the fact that you actually had all your instruments behind you. Yeah, that gave me joy. And I said normally Josh sings for us at our events, and it's normally him and either his guitar or a cappella. I'm saying, but yesterday it was a full song. And I said I was genuinely cheered up, my friend. So I'm so glad you're here. Anthony, welcome as well. Thank you for joining us. We haven't met yet, Anthony, I don't think. Have we? I don't know. I never know, right? Who speaks Spanish, I think? Who can translate what Anthony's saying? I have no idea, Anthony. Yeah, you must know. I'm a lazy British person, and we're like, we only speak English. We don't speak anything else. Right, but if anyone can translate, please do. I'd love to know what Anthony's saying. Let me start my LinkedIn.
We need a translator up here. Annie.
Is it now? Sorry, Michelle. Please carry on. Michelle.
We need to get a translator up here so that way we can bridge the gap with everyone so we can know what everyone's saying.
Paige and Angelica.
I thought I've got you. I've got you, Michelle Ramos, but then the genetics show that you're not quite. Español. You're not that person, right?
No habla español.
Oh, leave me to laugh at myself. Truly, right?
It's very little.
She's gonna kill me sometime. She's killed me already many times. Before Michelle's killed me many times.
Let's stop making your voodoo doll and just put a little needle in the back, and you're gonna call me like, Michelle, I didn't do it.
Oh, Dr. Lisa, so glad to see you. Thank you for joining us, of course, always. I'm menopause dietitian, menopause holistic health specialist. Glad you're here. Of course, now most of my friends who come to this room are authors. Sandra, hello, Sandra. See, that's my next joy. That's tonight's joy. I get to publish. I get to finish the layout for Sandra's book.
Both of those girls, ladies, women, beautiful souls, have amazing voices and stories.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's much to read. Oh, my Sunday book is here as well. Joni. Now I've got all the sections I need now. So a book a day is a good thing, Annie. It's a good thing. I want to get to a book a day, literally for 30 days. And then I'll be happy, I think. No, I'm happy already. Doing the books just makes my life more meaningful, my friends, more meaningful. If you're here, please say something, say hello, say hi, say where you're joining us from. Let me start my YouTube. If anyone's on my YouTube, please do the right thing. Even Dr. Roxana's YouTube as well. do the right thing, my friends. Watch, of course, you're going to watch today's video because you're here. But like the video, comment in words, and you say something on the video. I don't mind what you say on the video, really, right? No, we're here. People saying I've joined, but there's nothing going on. There's a lot going on. We're talking, right? Look, of course, I want to help you write your book, publish your book, or sell your book. There's nothing going on. So if I can help you, please do let me know. Otherwise, you can always read that book behind me, Lessons Learned from COVID. That is the book that myself, Professor Roxana, and 8 other friends of ours are in. Oh, I'm trying to find the books that I want to show you today. So we're talking books, right? To just one cup coffee. No, 1 cup of coffee. Good for you, Michelle. Right. I'm showing you Dr. Roxana's books instead.
Do you see how big this cup is? It's as big as mine.
It's rather big. It's as big as your head. Even you got a very small head, or it's a very big. It's a very big cup. Does it hold the tea or coffee warm and hot for a long time, Michelle? Yes, no. Yes or no?
Say that again.
Does it keep your tea or coffee warm?
Yeah, so actually there's a trick that a lot of people don't know, and it's to take your coffee mug, fill it with hot water, and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds, dump out the hot water, put your coffee in. Your cup is then hot, and then it keeps your coffee hotter longer.
No, look, I guess another trick is don't leave your tea bag in the cup. That makes it go cold quicker.
I don't drink tea.
I always drink tea, and I am kind of anal about cups. Tea cups are my thing. My family, they wonder why are you so mad? Because they're cups I will use and cups I will never use. I'm like, no, that cup is just not worth my. It's really weird, right?
I think my favorite coffee mug right now is from a thrift store, and it says, "Trust me, I'm a lawyer." And then there's like the abbreviation, and it says "almost."
Anyway, look at Dr. Roxana's books. So that's her. That's the finance, the strategy, wealth building strategy for parents, right? Strategies to build and maintain wealth that parents can use and teach their children as well. And then the next one is her innovations in education technology. That's how to use AI and other tools that are now available to educators. And this is the one that we are on together. I haven't read my computer yet. Lessons learned from COVID-19. If you bought one, good. Thank you. If you haven't bought one, please go and buy one. I'm sure I do send signed copies. If someone says, "Here's some money, buy one," and send me a signed copy. Unless you're Michelle Ramos and I send you a signed copy anyway, right? I'll leave that alone.
I earned that autograph.
You did, and I'm still loving this book. I don't know if you can see it properly. This is the one I got in the post from Karen and Joan yesterday. I did a video.
If you tilt it down a little bit, it'll help with the light. Yeah, there you go.
That's definitely it. So, what is it called? Oh, self-care is intentional. So what's nicer than getting books in the post from people? Nothing. It's such a good thing, right? I'm so overjoyed. I love getting goodies. It's not just books I got some lovely pens from them as well. And the wristband. I don't know. Where is and magazines. They have a Health Start magazine, which is very posh. Great looking magazine. I tell you why it's even more great looking, because one of them. Yay.
I feel like Annie's in a magazine stand right now, and he's selling them on the corner
in a magazine
in New York City or something.
I'm living in joy. I live a life of joy. I live a life that's so amazing. But it's not. It's thanks to all of you that I have that amazing life. Right, this is the lovely pens.
I'm in that magazine next month.
Their quality. Are you?
I am.
Really? Well, that's what their magazine looks like. It's very, very high quality, and it's full of interesting people, interesting stories.
What's the magazine about?
I am very excited for next month.
Start Healthy. So it's mainly about holistic health and wellness.
Okay.
But there's also bits in there that may not be the standard health and eating thing. So in this one, there's an article about insurance risks. There's something about
It's
cycling and
Lady
hitting
K and
well.
Lady J.
Yeah, no, and my article was about how to give value. How to work out what value you give to people. So that which kind of it ties into our conversation today, right? I think that our topic really is what are we doing for our readers when we write our books. Welcome, Sandra. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Oh, look, this really is a panel of Annie's friends. My genius friends, you're all here. Yay! You cheer me up.
I wanted to show you my coffee cup that I
Go
use
for it.
every morning.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Can you read
Johnny,
it?
that is
Yeah,
beautiful.
they can now.
Thank you for being my
You might
mom.
need to read
Thank you
backwards.
for being my mom. Oh, that's really good.
It says,
Oh,
"Dear
That
mom,
one is
thank you
amazing.
for
It
being
reminds
my
me of the one.
mom. If
Look,
another lady
Jody,
was my mom, I'd punch her in the face and go find you."
Jody, I think of you. I think of the cup I see that goes, Mom,
that's
Mom,
good.
Mom, Mommy, bro.
You're not
My son
helping.
got this for me from Timu, and it's my favorite gift.
You're
And
not
the fact
helping.
that
How comes you've all got
he
cups
has
and I haven't?
he's a
You've all,
stepmom who he doesn't like very much.
you see,
And
you've all got drinks and you've all got hot tea in your hand or hot coffee. I haven't got any of that stuff, right?
No, but you're surrounded by 5 beautiful
you
women.
want me to send you an espresso machine? I have an extra.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
No,
We could all pitch in for the
I've got one
chair.
of those already. It's not.
It's amazing.
It's making time to go and buy it, to go and make the drink. That's what I don't do, because now I was here and I was like, oh, I need to go and get ready. Oh, I need to get on and go live.
Fine, it's going to Ramos' son. All right, she's getting it.
I'll be right back. I gotta turn on the light. I'm in the dark right now, and I'm always in the dark sometimes.
I'm always I don't know how to change it. Remember, there's
The
not.
light
I
works
don't
better.
know.
William, welcome.
Change this.
Welcome, William. Welcome, William. Look, so let's get into the conversation. That way, I use your time valuably, wisely, should I say, right? So for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking. Last week, we talked about how to be more intentional with your book. The plans you have to make before you start writing your book. That's what that conversation is, really. A lot of people just write. They want to write something. They want to write the book, and they know what they want to write about. And then they're surprised when people don't buy the book. I guess my simple logic is that we need to think more about our readers, have a plan in our heads, have a reason for writing the book. You have a reason, you know your why, but there's also the other side you must think about, which is the readers. Why would they want to read your book? And how can we make sure you get what you want, which is book sales, and I'm sure the other things that come with being an author, speaking engagements and so on and so forth. But also make sure your readers get what they want, and then they become your advocates. They become your fan club. Makes selling more books easier in going forward, right? So last week, I said 2 weeks ago, I keep saying last week, we talked about your why. What's your why for writing a book? So that's a question in and and the second thing we talked about was also, do you really know your readers? Can you draw a picture of your readers as right now? Can you picture them? If you walk past one of your readers on the streets, would you even know who they are? How old are they? What's the income brackets? Which industry do they work in? What's the interests? What do they read? Which authors do they like? Which stories do they follow? Where do they shop? I'm trying to get you to understand that there's a granular level we can go to with our readers, right? We really need to understand who they are. To really get to know them. That way we can begin to think the way they do and be like they are. That way we can write a book that will excite them. See, our next question today really is our title, which is what's the biggest challenge and solution that your book gives to these readers of yours that you're targeting? And I will say again that these 5 points, these 5 questions were given to me by Dr. Leslie Flowers. And so she shared the document with me now with us last year. 5 questions to help you know your purpose as an author. So if you do want this document, you're welcome to get in touch with Leslie and ask her to send you a copy. Also, I could send you a copy, but I'd rather you go through her, and then if she says go to any, then I'll just send it to you as well. So look, this is the topic I want to talk about today. What are we writing for? I guess there are many different ways I can answer this, but I don't want to answer it. I want to hear from you. So who am I going to come to? Michelle B, I'll come to you first because you were first on stage. So let me do some more welcomes. William says we need to get
Sandra has to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. No, Sandra, I'll come to you. Sandra, I'll come to you.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay. I'm liking the
I
room.
didn't know. I didn't have a clue that you have to go. So
Yeah, I'll go last. You go ahead, Sandra, and then you go, Joe.
you can go second. Are you?
No,
Do you have to
I
go
don't
as
want to
well?
be like that. Just Michelle. You wanted Michelle to speak first? It's
Yeah.
okay.
No.
I didn't know Michelle
I'll
is
come
writing
to
a
you.
book.
Yeah. We'll do a room. Let's talk about neurodivergence. So she's going to write a book about kids with unique abilities and how to support parents through that journey.
That is great.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Of course, Michelle Ramos is part of that gang as well. So, yes, William, we need to get the mugs done. Yes, William, we do. Maybe if I had one of your mugs, William, I would use it a lot more than I'd use mine. William's mugs have this ability to come to life. Better than all of yours. Better than any mug I've got. Essentially, it's a black mug. When you put hot drink in it, the picture suddenly appears. It's like, wow. I love that idea.
I want one.
I want 5 of them. Americo, welcome. I was in your room last night. Thank you so much, you and Jay. If you haven't been to America's rooms, and I do connect with him and do go along. There are very few late night events these days, which is it's kind of upsetting, but not really. Many late night rooms where, talking shops. Not so they didn't learn much, and they weren't very entertaining. So America's was one of those that is still there that does the job. You can learn, you can be inspired. Great conversation as well. Thank you for joining us. America talks marketing, Jay talks storytelling, but they talk about everything else in between, right? That's fun. Who's here? Frank. Welcome, Frank. I'm so glad you're here. Luz, of course, I see you from the Netherlands. Thank you for joining us. Jason, I appreciate all of you spending your time with us. America says my book will solve the difficulty of being seen, heard, and remembered. I like that. I guess it gives us a context, Sandra. Do your readers know they have that problem? It's a balancing act we have to do on this topic, right? We know what we think our readers want. Does it matter if they don't think of themselves in that way, or do they always think themselves? Do they always have the same picture that we have? What's your take? For your book, unmuting myself.
Yeah, it's a good question to ask yourself when you're going to start writing your book. Is this going to solve a problem? And I guess that's what inspired me to start my business, Thriving Mindset, and along with this book, because I saw that problem in my community, the problem of being mute in a culture that is different for us. Is a culture that promote that you need to use your voice. It's very different here in the US that where I grew up, right, and in Latin countries. So my book, the core message of my book is you were not born muted, right? Even if your voice was silenced by fear growing up as a kid, or your culture or circumstances, you have the power to reclaim it. We follow that when we were kids. Be quiet and no explanation, right? Just be quiet. So when you find your voice, you just don't speak, but you lead. So that is why it's very important that we use our voice to belong and to rise. And I say this because I worked 18 years in corporate America, and I not always did that. It was very challenging for me to, when I came here at 30 years old, um, I have the great opportunity to be transferred to work in New York when I was working with a global company, Colombia. And I was so happy and excited, but very soon after I arrived, I mute myself. I lost confidence, and it took me a long time to find my voice, to be myself. So I think that this is what inspired me, because as I look, in my own environment when I was working, I know that I am not the only one. It's a challenge for many immigrants, for different reasons, self-worth, coming from countries that are, the US is a powerful country. And we come from countries that are, some of them, there's poverty and things like that. It's very different the culture. So we are not very encouraged to speak up there. We grow up like that. So coming to this country, we need to adapt. And when we talk about adapting, using our voice is one of the challenges. So that's what I identify as something that, once I walk my path, finding my voice, the tools and all what I needed to do, the actions that I needed to take to be able to own my voice and to speak without fear, without feeling less than, and just share my message. I want to share, this experience, this path, the challenges that I have to overcome, and that it's possible, even when you speak a second language, even when you don't speak that language perfectly, you don't need to. People still will understand. So that is what I identify as a need. We are, very, we want to be perfect, and that's, for many reasons we feel that we need to be perfect to be accepted, and that's one of the things, the message of my book. We don't need to be perfect. Humans are actually not perfect. We can be perfect. We're humans. So yeah, so that's the thing that I identify, and the message is, let's unmute ourselves, because we have, a lot to share. And when we don't, we miss life, we miss connection with people, and we miss our entire life if you, feel like you want to speak but you don't do it.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot in what you said, Sandra. There's some, we could go home now, by the way, and say we could all go home, because you've made many of the points that I want to make. I mean, speaking from experience, writing from experience is often a good thing, and that's where most writers come from, right? That's how we really know the issue we're addressing, and that's how of course, that's how we also come up with strategies that will work. Again, maybe there's two ends to our conversation today. There's those who write fiction books, fantasy books, and there's those like us who write nonfiction, factual, real life stories, or factual information books. There's almost two different set. It's not two different sets of criteria. I think we're still. Yeah, we want to write from experience. We want to write something that's new for our readers. Our readers want something new. They don't want that. There's no point writing a book that someone else has already written. We have to make sure that we're giving our readers something, a better solution. That's a way to put it, right? But no, we have to give them something different to what others are doing. And so there's nothing better than having been there yourself. Maybe it's a case of trusting yourself. But I think it's always helpful to articulate exactly what it is you want your readers to get from this book. Because it helps you stay focused. So many people just write. I'm sure there's books you've read and they're just talking. And you're like, oh, where's this going? Where's this going? We need to keep on the straight and narrow and keep our readers on the path that they want to go on. And the path they want to go on is concise, well written. But also, like say, something that they can work with, right? That's and you're all of that, of course. You mentioned doing research. Even if it's not academic research, when you talk to people, they would either tell you, "Yeah, that's a real problem," or "Yeah, it's a problem, but I'm not really bothered by it. I don't really want to solve it." So I think that it's a good place to start, and your book is brilliant as well, Sandra. So our friends will find out in good time. Sandra's
Yeah,
book
one of the parts of the sorry,
No,
one
feel
of the
free.
parts in the book that I myself through the process of writing it, I realized that it's not only the professional environment, but many of the readers are parents that they realize that if they don't overcome these challenges, their every generation is passing that to the next generation, right? So in my case, I'm doing two things. I'm publishing this book, and I'm doing a talk in May 16. I'm gonna go on a stage, and with that, I really am showing my son that to be courageous, to speak up, to to stand up for what he believes in, and it doesn't matter if your voice sounds different than the rest.
I just
But
want to say I'm so proud of you. And I just want to say thank you because you were being vulnerable. And the one thing I haven't heard you say is how much courage it takes to do what you're doing. So thank you because I see your courage. I mean, we've already co-authored together and you have it. And I watch you do it daily. So you show up.
thank you, Michelle.
And
I told Annie the other day, are you ready?
you're
And
smiling, Sandra, all the time you're smiling. So that's also to be recognized. Like
thank you.
you're doing something that is a passion project, but you're like, thank gosh, like I did this. And
Exactly. It's not about being perfect. I mean, if you think that you want to do something, at least try it, right?
And if you
You
suck,
probably, and there is this thing that I read the other day. If you want to be good at something, you have to suck at that, right? And that is probably where I am right now.
No,
I think
no.
it's the imperfections that are perfectly beautiful.
It is not only first time writing a book. You have to prepare mentally for all the reviews, the real reviews, not only your friends' review, because of course they are gonna encourage you, right? A few will be honest and they will tell you, but to be ready for the feedback is all of that is part of the growth that you're gonna experience. If you really want to be a writer, then your next book will be better. I've been writing this book for months, getting a lot of feedback, implementing and learning in the process. But the book, I hope, I reach a lot of the things that I was told, and that really the people resonate with the message and help people. But it's my first book, so one thing that I was in the past is I was very hard on myself. If you don't know going to do something well done, don't do it. That was my approach. Like, do it really good and impressive, or don't do it. But the problem with that approach is that it's good to be, have high standards. I'm not saying not, but also these high standards will, stop you to start working in things. You have to be bad at the beginning to become someone good, right, on a stage or writing your book. So that's another message. That's one of the things that stop us from speaking up, from saying things, because we want to say it the perfect way. Sometimes we won't.
Yeah, and again, there's much to learn, in what you're saying, Sandra. Look, you are the perfect example, because you're not just talking about the topic; you're actually living it. I think that's the point that we're trying to make. Right?
That's
That's
what
the
I choose to do. But
right.
not be in front of everyone.
You've experienced the issues, you found solutions, and you actually you're living those, and you've gone through the full cycle. Like, from getting on stage, that probably petrifies all of us. I can say that honestly. For me, it's like, I'm just looking at all of them. But I think I would just look down to the microphone and talk to myself, and then if they hear me, good. But no, but you're doing the whole cycle, right? And that will impact your readers, because your readers will benefit from the fact that you're not just a talker. You're also a doer. Now they'll be inspired. I mean, that's an important point to remember for sure, right? And your point about starting less than perfect, it's true. Let's be very clear, my friends. There's no other way to tell you. Your first book is gonna suck. Yes, it's not gonna be the best. It's just not. Get ready for it. It's not. In truth, it might be your worst book ever. It's a reality. What that says to me is, save your good ones for later. Book 10, book 11, book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are gonna stink.
And
They
girls,
really are.
It's like
Sorry
being
about
in
that.
school,
Penny,
first
stop
grade,
being
second grade, third grade.
you're being really wordy, and girl has to go back to work.
The 13th book is that graduation book. By the
Sandra,
13th book, it should be perfect.
yes.
Yeah, and then we learn, we get better. We learn, we get better each time, right? That's how it goes. So Dr. Roxana's on the fourth book now. I'm saying that she's learned a lot from book 1. So we all do, So give yourself that space, as Sandra is saying, as Sandra has done. Give yourself that space. And I'm quite sure that this is why most authors become addicted to writing. Very few people write one book and walk away. Most people write 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, oh, where's that come from? But each time we get better. So don't be too harsh on yourself. If your first book does not set the world on fire, it won't. If it did, you should be very surprised, right? Because that's unheard of almost. Look at what's the name? The one that wrote Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. I'm sure you've heard the story.
We cannot compare ourselves to J.K. Rowling's right now.
You
No,
can't do that.
Hold on. But the journey is the same. The journey is the same. She went to get people to publish her books, and they were like, "No, this is junk."
Yeah,
he got told this several times. Look where she is now. I'm saying that we'll start from that place where our books are not the greatest, but when we persist, and follow the process. Keep in mind, what do your readers want? What are they looking for from your books? Yeah, it might be different from most books, but as long as your book is written well, as best as you can today, that's what you can do, right? The next one you learn and you improve.
Challenge.
Annie, did I ever tell you this is kind of my most celebrity story?
Go for it.
So my a family owns a home on Walloon Lake in Michigan. And kind of, I guess 5 houses down, still they own it, but Ernest Hemingway wrote some of his greatest poetry.
wow.
So the Hemingways lived 5 houses down, and my grandmother and his sister would sit on my porch and have cocktails, probably at 5 o'clock on the dot. I don't know.
That's so beautiful.
And she was a wonderful person, and he was a lunatic. And a lot of his early poetry and early books, he burned or threw away because they weren't good enough for him. He was like a little bit insane. And but that is my only celebrity connection. That my family home, that's not my home, is really my parents, that we've owned since 1900, is 5 houses down from the Hemingways, and my Grammy and his sister sat on the porch and had drinks.
That's just beautiful. I mean, they were having drinks on the
Probably like mint juleps or something.
Yes. Or pink squirrels or green squirrels or whatever.
I don't know. They were getting into the hard stuff. They weren't having wine. They weren't having a beer.
I love Christiana. Welcome,
That's those
glad you're
prohibition
here.
days.
Right, Coach, I see you as well. Thank you so much for being here. Now, Sandra, you're doing great. Sandra's book launches on the 8th of May, so 2 weeks time.
I'm so proud of you, Sandra. And
So do join us and come and buy the ebook, please, for 99 cents thereabouts. It could be a bit more. Amazon has a funny way of doing this pricing these days, but no, there's no pictures in the book, so that's normally means a small file. So do join us and do come along. You might be like Joni. You might win the $25 prize that we offer. Sorry, I'm killing Joni. I'm kidding. Someone's got to win, Joni. It was you this time, right? So for Coach David's book. So what can I say? Congratulations.
Well, I've not received that, but okay.
It's coming. It's coming. Well, now you decided you actually do want it.
Well, I don't want it. I didn't really want it. I wanted it to go to someone who really needed it.
When I said that was me, there was
and
also
you said I couldn't spin the wheel twice.
No, and I said that I'm a charity. Give me the money. And Coach David was like, no.
Well, maybe an Amazon gift card. Fine. I got some puppies on the way. I gotta get some puppy food. I don't know.
Yes, and you can buy, you can buy the book that we're launching next week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I buy all your
buy more of them. Buy Sandra's book. Why not?
Buy all your books.
Yes, you should.
You can. I mean, oh gosh, the book I don't want to embarrass him, but he was a basketball guy, and he was called like Teeny Weeny. Oh, God, what is it? It's like on the tip of my tongue. It makes me so happy that he wrote that, and it was like.
Not P. Willis. So excites you, right?
P. Willis. Oh, P. Willis makes me feel so happy.
I will never know why.
Innocence. I've read a lot of books, but P. Willis, that just makes me just joyful. And he just had a baby, right?
Yeah. I think just had a daughter, I think. And William's here, so I don't know why. You got to share with us, William. How is being Dad's second time round working for you, my friend? Do let us know. You can always join the studio and share. The link is in the event page.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's just a lot.
I think his second book is about raising kids. So, I guess again ties in what we're talking about, right from what you know, right from the audience about, right from a place where you
And
can
a
be credible.
couple
But I have a challenge.
Go on.
My
too. Is it an
challenge.
ice bucket challenge?
No. So
All right, yeah.
so one thing that I always speak for myself, so this is not for others, but what I've learned through this journey is one thing everybody's always saying when I was writing is like, do you know your reader? Do you know your audience? And so this is my challenge, is that when I was writing, it was my therapeutic process for trauma and healing and grief. And I never wrote for the audience. And it wasn't that I didn't care about the audience, but what I've learned through the journey, I never write for, when I write, it's not, it is for the audience, but it's not for the audience. When I write the initial draft and the initial outline that'll become whatever book it is that's in that work, is written for me to heal, because I'm writing because I have a story that is so unbelievable. I know if I don't control my narrative and if I don't tell my truth, there's going to be a lot of people telling my truth for me. And I think that that is where we need to take a moment before we criticize authors and co-authors. You're an author if you write regardless. I don't care if it's an anthology. I don't care if it's in a journal you keep in your book that nobody reads. If you write and your thoughts go from your mind to paper, you are an author and your story should be told. But what you can't do is let somebody else tell your narrative. There was a show you was doing, like if you don't make the choice, somebody's gonna make it for you. And then through this process and a decade or more of writing, what I've learned then when we go back and then we reflect and we're starting to do the editing process with publishing, we're learning that the book in itself can be marketed in 5 and 10 avenues and have many different revenue streams because it can target many audiences because it's authentically written from a true lived experience. And it doesn't matter what walk of life you are, whether it's private, professional, it don't matter. You can relate to the truth. You're muted.
I'm not.
I'm muted by doing other stuff. Joan's here. Welcome, Joan. Hopefully you saw my
I
post.
love Lady K and Lady J. Like
Yeah.
they give me a platform that lets me be me and unapologetic, and I feel safe. Just like you, Annie and Paulette. Like
Yeah.
I love you guys for those reasons.
Yeah. That's it. I'm still living off the magazine, Joan. I'm still living off the book that I got yesterday. I did my post about it. Hopefully you've seen the post. I can't thank you enough. Oh, no, the highlights are really, the pens are the best because I love quality pens.
Oh my God, I got coffee mugs. I love their coffee mugs.
I've got hundreds of my pens, but I prefer other people's pens. Thank you so much.
I watched you open that, actually. I watched your video on you open. I was like, what did Annie get? It was like, wow, that's so cool. Hurry up, rip it open.
It took me a while to open it. To be fair, right now I was trying so hard, but in the end, so I love getting goodies. Like I said in the video, everything I get normally is in the mail is bills. So it's nice to get something that's not bills, and it truly gave me joy.
That's a really good song over here in the States.
There's a song about that, and I'm not going to sing it for you. I'm not going to sing it for you at all. Look, Michelle B, what are you thinking of because I mentioned the book that we're working on, your neurodivergence book. What are you thinking? What is the need you're trying to address? And I guess the question I think we need, we would do well to focus on. I heard what Michelle Ramos said, and you write your book as long as it helps you to get it off your chest. That's good enough. Of course it is. But I think we sell more books when we, like Sandra, when we could talk about those issues that our readers think about all the time, the thing that keeps them awake. You know, the thing that 3 a.m. in the morning they're thinking about, that they really are wondering, you know, how do I fix this? How do you know what is the thing that you're trying to solve, Michelle?
I just hi guys. I I joined Nevada PEP, and it's parents empowering parents, and if for disabled youth and stuff like that here in Nevada. And I just saw such a huge gap for parents, for foster parents, and for the youths. And no one really knew what to do with anyone, because we've always been so taboo. It's like, well, if you have autism, let's put a helmet on you and put you in a room. And that's not really how it should go. Um, and I just saw a need that we really needed to be open about all of it. And I needed to find other people like me. And so I came on to Lidocaine, and I went globally looking for people. And I found you and Paulette. And then from there, Joe, you were there. Okay. Yeah, I love you, Joe. You know what? You and your
I was
puppy.
about to say.
Really want a puppy too, by the way. And I'm
I'll
gonna
drive it up to you, girl.
I love that she says Lidocaine in.
I always pronounce it wrong too, and that's another thing. I've always had to go to speech therapy when I was younger in school. Well, they've stopped that now. There's so many things that they stopped going, for our use in school, and then everyone was wondering why our youth are trying to get our attention and acting out. And growing up, being the way I am, the only time, and I had this beautiful, my grandma Jackie was an immigrant from Germany, and she came over here, put herself through UCLA. I mean, her became a citizen and everything, and she helped raise me. And she always said, you're going to be put on the box, so think outside the box and go get help for everyone else. And she was right. When I went to get my own kids help, there was none. And if there was some, I had to be in a certain bracket of poverty to get that help. And I was working so much to pay such a high rent in a gated community so my kids could go to a good school, but they wouldn't get services because of not being in the poverty level. And it really confused me. And they didn't get help. And just like I didn't get help with the speech therapy, because as soon as you get done in elementary school, you don't get any more speech therapy. Well, folks, when you have what I have, you need to learn tools to keep growing, surviving, just like, I guess you could call them normal people. Every day are learning tools to keep going and everything. But it seemed like if I was doing it, it was taboo. And I was just as smart as everyone else. And I didn't understand that. So I needed to break the chain and figure out why everyone was acting this way. And I found out everyone was acting this way is because no one has really come forward and been like, this is my lived experience. It's all been documented. So let's use me as an experiment. And because we've made everything so taboo, we don't know how to deal with our kids in mental health. Our mental health providers don't know how to deal with our youth.
If I may, I think what Michelle B is saying, I
Yes.
think that's something that somebody with complex PTSD or extensive PTSD can relate and understand, because it's living in these traumatic cycles or experiencing these traumatic events, and then it's society. Once we are adults, they expect us to be able to process it, but then the reality is once we're done with school, there's no continuing education with occupational therapies for vision therapies and speech therapy. So then we're sitting here with this ripple systemic injustice because we're sitting here like, well, why are these families failing? But when the family finished what you consider education age, you stop teaching them. So we can only teach our children what we know. And that's why I say I write my story to have my voice and my narrative, because delivering that message then opens up and gives cracks into the foundation that people believe in society to be true, and it's not. There's so much censorship.
And
And you're right. I just and I hate to say this, folks, and COVID really showed the cracks, and none of us knew what to do, which is totally understandable. But I wanted to
And
go,
then people like myself thrived in COVID.
yeah, but globally, I wanted to see what other countries were doing because they were seeming together better than we were. And so that's when I started going globally and seeing what other countries were, well, countries, universities. Let me get this correct, folks. I actually went and bridged gaps with other countries' universities with their neuro departments. I just didn't go to another country and be like, hey. Um, and from there, I just took a piece from every country on what they were doing, and then I would bring it back. And every Wednesday
Can I
night,
can I
we
please say something? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Any,
I will talk all the
any,
time.
please, I'll be leaving on time, if you don't mind.
okay, all right. Michelle, I'll come back to you. Let's hear from Professor Roxana. Michelle, many great points you're making. I definitely want to come back to it because I think there's
Michelle, I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off.
it's all
By
right.
the way,
Problem.
good morning,
If you have to
everybody.
go,
No,
if you have
please.
to, please
Yeah,
share with us.
please.
You know
Okay.
what's how do you know what your readers want? How do you
Yes,
make
that's
your book
I
different?
think we digress, but let's come back. Um, by the way, there are so many reasons why authors write. Exact like me, there are so many reasons why I wrote the books I have written. One of them is sharing knowledge. You want to put what you do know on paper. So one of them is you really want to, I want to put what, especially for my generation. I have grandkids that are 3 years old, 4 years old. They will not understand what is going on now, especially when we went through COVID. So one of them is sharing knowledge. Another one is storytelling. There are some stories you don't tell unless you put them down on your paper, unless you put them on your paper. So it's one of the reasons why, especially businessmen and women, you have to use storytelling to sell whatever you are selling. Yeah, so writing a book, putting them on paper, helps a lot to do your business. So that's one of them. Another one is exploring themes. You can write about complex themes, but the things you go through in life, you want to write about them, especially there's the book that you have today, my book that you published yesterday, uh, um, Passive Income. I said I have to write all the ways I have found out that I can read on paper, that I can see that people are using to increase their wealth. I thought I have to put them down. So some people who do not know how to find out will find it out. And also, I can use it for I usually talk about this in my YouTube. So I actually want to give out uh, the novel, or well, the book. It could be for my membership. So if you join my membership, you can get a copy, or for some reasons it's a copy I can just give to people who are in, not just in my YouTube, any other social media. Okay, so these are one of the reasons that people write a book. I wrote my book. And another one is uh, personal expression. See, there's no other way. You may not be given a mic any day. For some reasons, I talked to Annie about being hosting a room, but it has never come to pass. So I said, okay, maybe I have to write down what I'm thinking in books so that maybe any day I'm given a chance to host, then I can just pull them out from the books that I'm writing. And another one, I wrote a book on education and and the impact of AI and so many other things. So I put them down because it wasn't like this 40 years ago when I started. I started with chalk and board so that after I write for some time, my arm will start paining me. It's not that anymore. I didn't know how to what's called Zoom 40 years ago when I started teaching. That was nothing like online teaching, but now I can teach online. I can all those things. If I don't write them down, nobody is going to speak them when. Okay, and you want this inspiring change. You kind of want to inspire change. It doesn't really have to be what. Sometimes it's not going to be what the readers want. Some of them will read it for the first time. Okay, and also I can research for. I use all these. I use AI to research and put some more that I found out in my book. Some write for entertainment, but I'm not writing for entertainment. So I wrote for legacy. The books I'm writing, some of them are for business, some of them are for legacy, some of them write. So I have written books and I will write more because I want to express myself while I'm still alive. Okay, so thank you so much. So that is
Thank you,
hello.
Joni. Give me a couple, give me a minute or two, Joni. I want to
Thank
welcome Alison. So I know one of our
Roxanne.
super authors. Alison, welcome. Alison just got her new book out. I think it's called Arise. But Alison is a sustainability expert, so she tends to know her earlier books. I think she's got a children's book, and then she's got books about sustainability in businesses and in the world as a whole. So that's what she writes about. Thank you for being here. So glad you're here. Professor Roxana, I think I love the point that you made at the end, which is doing the research. Doing the research. Because of course your books are non-fiction, so they're real to life books, right? And writing for legacy, there's many reasons authors write. I think
Yeah.
inspiring change is an important one that we want, right? Our readers want to be educated and inspired. And of course, ultimately, we want a transformation. We want to find a solution to a problem. If you do the research, then you tend to find what people want or need, right? Where the gaps are. Now, I'll say this, my friends, which I mean, not, I don't know, I don't hide it. I'll tell you again. My research, my book ideas, my book solutions come from the best research there ever has been. You know what that is? Events, audio rooms, and live events is where you find out what people really are struggling with, right? In these rooms, nothing beats. I'm gonna nothing beats. Coach, I'm gonna mute you for a second. So nothing beats talking to people in research. Nothing beats talking to people. Talking to real people. And the reason, one of the reasons I love these events so much is because it's the only way I know to talk to people on a big scale. Before this, we'll just say you can send out a survey, ask a couple of friends, but now I can talk to people every day and find out what people are really thinking, what the issues are. And most of my rooms are a chapter in a book. That's my research. So what's your research method? Is the question I'm asking you. How do you find out what your readers really want? So of course I know we heard from Sandra. Sandra, she's in her readers' lives and at their heads, so she knows what they're thinking from her experience. And I think you mentioned that as well.
I want to say something.
Go on, Sandra, please feel free. And then Jonah, I'll come to you.
I have to go literally in 5 minutes.
Go on. So give me 1 sec. So Sandra, what do you want to say?
Okay. Just quick, to give you the word. I remember you saying that when we started the room, the journey of professional immigrants, and as I was listening to the stories that people were sharing, I see how that is very helpful what you're saying, and even help me with material for my story, because I'm talking about, have the courage to use your voice. And I remember Celine was in one of the rooms last year, and she shared her story, and I told this in the last promo that we did. I told her, I actually share your story without name because there's no need to, but I share how you have the courage to use your voice when this friend was treating you in front of other people in a weird way, and closed doors, this friend was telling was happy with your friendship and really appreciate you, but in front of people she will change. And she was, and it's because she is a black lady, and I'm not sure, I think the other person is not a black person. So anyway, the point is that these friends in front of people will be different than when they were alone, right? The friendship. So she was courageous to use her voice and tell her, why do you treat me like this in front of people, but you change when we are closed doors, right? You're very nice to me. That's like what I mean using your voice, right? Don't be afraid of losing that friendship, because what kind of friendship is that one? And you know what happened? She sharing the story. When she did that, she helped the other person to realize what she was doing. And the friendship, I believe, grow from that. It didn't break it, but it did something good. So that's why it's important to use your voice. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna
No,
end this.
no, thank you. No, look, it's important, Sandra. No, I think when we listen carefully to what people are saying, we find what they really struggle with, and that's an important thing from what you're saying to me. So we have to learn to use every opportunity to that we talk to people, potential readers, to really listen deep down. I don't say that. I don't say that lightly. So I say that because even from experience, many things we think we're paying for, it's not what we're paying for. Let me give you an example. I paid for sales training, for example, right? And if you had asked me beforehand, I would say to you, Sandra, I want to sell more. I want to sell more. That's why I'm doing the training. After I've done the training, I realized it wasn't that. It's not selling more. Yes, of course I want to sell more, but what's the real issue for all of us when it comes to sales is confidence. Confidence issue, right? I'm saying, so we have to learn to really listen to the people that we are here to serve, to hear what they're really saying. Sometimes even what they're not saying. So in Selena's case, is it more of a conversation around racism? Maybe.
No,
Maybe I'm saying.
I don't think you're right.
But
No, I'm
I,
saying.
yes, I think so too. I mean, it's more about, in any situation, if you feel in certain way, share your feelings, use your voice, and share how you feel about that. And so that will give you confidence, build confidence, right? To be able
Be
to
okay with
speak.
who you are. Just
Yeah.
be okay with who you are, and
Yeah.
confidence comes, but confidence is not necessarily what sells. I've been in sales now for 20 years. Guys who overconfidence themselves, like, it is not attractive. And so if you can be vulnerable, that is what really will sell. Be like, geez, like, your kid's going through the process of getting an IEP. So is my kid. Like, it stinks. Or, this business like hasn't made more than 10% profit in the last 10 years. Like, that stinks. Like, are you frustrated about that? you have to be vulnerable and be like really like let who you are out. That's in writing and in business. And you got to keep plowing on because like it doesn't always fit your personalities with someone else. It doesn't. And that's okay. That's okay. So, and you have to not take that internally. But I think when you're crafting a book, it is important to obviously know your audience. And I think it is wonderful if you write a book about your life. I don't think a lot of people are going to be interested in your life, but it's really good you put it down on paper. I really do. I mean, that's my first book, but my second book is a story about dinosaurs that my dad told me. And so, you know, it's just, it's all a process. And if you are who you are, you don't put any falsehoods on. That is, you be as weird as you want to be. I promise there's so many weird people out there. Look, we all found each other. We're all
Look, there's nothing you're saying that doesn't gel with what I'm thinking, Joni. I think
okay.
I think
Well,
that
also,
we.
I went to talk before I had to go. So
Yeah,
I'm
no,
listening,
thank
but
you.
I had to go.
Thank you. No, look, I think writing from experience, of course, I think we know
Make
we
sure
made that
you do replay, Joe, because I got your back.
no, that we agree with. But look, it's all right writing what we want to write. And well, you made the point just now, which I think is good, which is that people will always be interested in what you want to write about. I'm saying the only way to avoid that is by doing what I'm trying to suggest we do, which is think of your audience, think of your readers before you write your book, and write a book that addresses what worries them, the problems they have in their lives. You can't solve
Oh,
all
and
of them.
frankly, Annie, just one more thing. All
Go
right.
on, go for it.
If you want to make some money, write a book about how to invest in Bitcoin, what's going on in the stock market. If you have any knowledge about that, write that. That will fly off the shelves. All right. That's that I'm telling you, that will. If you want to write a book for yourself, then
Not
write your
Ponzi scheme
memoir.
Bitcoin.
Exactly. Now
No
that
Bitcoin,
now, I say, if you're not going to give
Ethereum,
people,
right?
if you're not going, that's a con job as well, Joni. All cryptos are con jobs apart from Bitcoin. Anyway,
Not
that's my.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
They are. No, they are. They really are. If you don't believe me,
Annie, you're going to be so with yourself.
listen, Joni.
Sorry, I already made
There's
$10,000
one man who
on
knows more about
Bitcoin.
crypto than all of us, Joni. It's called Coach David. Coach, give me your take. You've just written a book, the FinTech Black Box.
Yeah.
About finances. Why have you not said in your book, go buy crypto, Coach?
Yeah, I understand the fundamental economics, and I understand the internet at micro, meso, and macro levels, meaning at the small end, the middle end, and the big end. At the end of the day, crypto is an attempt of the rich of the richest, of the richest of the richest, who have understanding of technology and a little bit of economics to dupe people of their hard-earned living. Everyone who invests in crypto
Joni, you heard that, right?
is at risk because you
Of
don't really
course I will.
understand. You don't
Heard
understand
that,
what's
Joni.
going on.
And
You don't
the
understand what's
experts
going
telling
on.
you.
Number two is that you're at very big risks that you don't understand. Number three is that you are not under regulation. It doesn't matter how sweet a transaction is. Once you cannot be regulated, once your money goes into a place and it can't be traced, that's why we have the credit system. So that if you get duped, you can tell your bank to stop that payment. When you take power out of traditional guardrails, be ready to deal with the risk. It's hyper risk, it's too big.
Right.
Your money can disappear anyhow.
Coach, let me pause you for a second. I think, you've answered my question that I was trying to respond to with Joni. Look, anyone can write a crypto book or invest in book, Joni, but they will, unless we've got something to give
I know.
them.
I'm saying
Hold
if you
on.
want to make money from your book.
Yeah, but I'm saying unless we give the readers a solution to the problem Coach is mentioning, they're not gonna. They aren't gonna be your fans. They buy the book, they read the book, and go, "Ah, this is junk."
Yes.
Doesn't work. Right?
Yes.
Don't be that
But
person.
I'm saying if you want to write something of substance,
Mhm.
you write from experience. You write
Yeah.
from your heart.
Indeed.
Exactly what we're talking about. But if you want something right now that is on the top of everyone's minds is cryptocurrency. And so that could make you money if you want money. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying I believe in all of it at all. But I'm telling you, that is what's on everyone's mind.
Yeah,
How do
no,
I get it?
I think in the crypto or AI is the other one these days that people, oh, I'm going to write a book about AI. What do you know about AI that we don't know? Nothing.
A lot.
So don't write it.
A lot. No.
No, give it a rest. The
How
only person
does
I know
Google
a lot.
know that, like, I said, oh, I am looking for a baby stroller for my sister.
Mm.
How do they know? They listening to you. It's not unfactual. So there are things that are really important that are going on in this world in technology that the world is going to change and people want information about it. So I don't find any of it especially important to me. It's not that. I'm just saying if we're going to talk about writing for money versus writing from passion, then there are different topics.
Not really. I think you need to combine the passion with the, I guess, impact. Writing for money, you only make money when you give value. If you don't give them a
Yeah,
solution,
you can find value
you're
in
not going to make money.
All right, let Miss Ramos.
Right. Let's say that for sure. You have to give them value. Yes, right from your heart. Yes, right from the topic. People are interested in. But unless you're going to give them something that they don't know already, that they're not doing already, what's the point? Yes, you can write your
But
book
there's
and
the
they might
okay,
buy it.
so you can write for what you just said and not be taken seriously.
Yes,
So then at what point?
because you lack credibility.
So then at what? But at what point? So where do you get the validation for your self credit? Who gives you credit? Do I need the to validate and make myself credible? The question that I'll challenge you with then is, will I not be taken credible because there's not some letters after my name from some college degree piece of paper that was paid for? Does my lived experience not give credit?
Josh answers your question very easily. Your
No, that's
passion.
not. See, no, I'm asking
No,
any.
that's not. No, I'm saying to you, that's the answer. Josh just gave us the answer. Your passion and your message will sell to your audience.
So sometimes the narrative and the deliverance of your message changes not because of what you're saying, but because you've done what you've said and it's not taken seriously. So now you got to transition and you got to take yourself serious.
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow the outside world to validate it. And it was like, Sandra was saying, when everybody's all about I published a book and these are the great things, a lot of people dismiss or don't even think about the flip side of that coin and the critiquing and the ridicule and just the retaliation that could come. Like, I have 4 books that are fully completed that have to sit there and wait because of legal litigation. So that's, again, are you writing to tell your story and be the person that gives your narrative? Or are you writing just to fit the status quo and put out more data and statistics that already exist and we know about?
You are writing to help your readers to solve a problem.
There's answers and solutions apparently that exist worldwide, and a lot of people have opinions. There's trillions of people.
Which is why you have to have that thing about you that gives you credibility. Whatever
Again,
that
I
thing
feel
is,
that's
and
subjective.
that's not qualifications. No, Sandra's not working off qualifications. I don't work off mine. I work off doing what we do and understanding our readers very well.
I'm just saying, we have people with accolades and degrees that are labeled, publicly as experts, and these are the professionals that I'm still trying to heal trauma from. So
Yeah.
I feel it's a very subjective.
It's not subjective as you're making it look. This is not rocket science. If you want people to buy your book, give them solutions in your
Give
book.
them something that they want to. And Michelle, there's 8 billion people.
I was gonna say that there is
I was
people for
thinking of the
everything.
$14 trillion that circles the world digitally every day.
Oh
And it got
my
mixed up in
God.
my
Oh my
head.
God.
So
I know. Where's my
math.
piece of that money?
Right, money. The money is not the. I had multiple thoughts in my mind, so I apologize.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
Stop worrying about the money. The money is not the problem. Money is not.
About the money.
Oh, really? Okay. Let me show you something. Let me play this for you, and then you will see that money is not the problem, right?
Okay,
I'm
I'm
leaving
going
video
to
here.
listen, all right? But I gotta go. So I want
Thanks,
to
Joni.
tell everyone on
We'll
this
talk
stage
later,
that
Joni. Thank you so much.
love them.
Yeah, no,
And
thank you.
just really
Joni is my new snake mug.
Oh my God.
It's for all the snakes.
Where can I buy this?
Starbucks.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
All
right.
What am I streaming to?
Ramos and Michelle, David, everyone.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what I've just done. I've just done something dumb, right? Ignore that.
So love you all.
Take care, Joni. We'll talk later. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm going to listen on LinkedIn on my drive. But
we'll talk later.
Actually,
let me deal with the money issue quickly, Sandra. Then I'll happily hear your thoughts. Right here.
Most men will tell you that they want to make money without understanding the law. The only people who make money work in the mint. The rest of us must earn money. This is what causes those who keep looking for something for nothing or a free ride to fail in life. The only way to earn money is by providing people with services or products which are needed and useful. We exchange our product or service for the other man's money. Therefore, the law is that our financial return will be in direct proportion to our service. Success is not the result of making money. Making money is the result of success. And success is in direct proportion to our service. Most people have this law backwards. They believe that you're successful if you earn a lot of money. The truth is that you can only earn money after you're successful. It's like the story of the man who sat in front of the stove and said to it, "Give me heat, and then I'll add the wood." How many men and women do you know, or do you suppose there are today, who take the same attitude toward life? There are millions. We've got to put the fuel in before we can expect heat. Likewise, we've got to be of service first before we can expect money. Don't concern yourself with the money. Be of service. Build, work, dream, create. Do this, and you'll find there's no limit to the prosperity and abundance that will come to you. Prosperity is founded upon a law of mutual exchange. Any person who contributes to prosperity must prosper in turn himself. Sometimes the return will not come from those you serve, but it must come to you from someplace for that is the law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite.
I
Brilliant.
love
Opposite
it.
reaction. Yep. All right.
I'm telling you, I don't like the transactional things. I prefer transformational collaborations.
I can understand that. So look, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, right? But I said I'm on a mission to stop people saying money is evil. Money is not a bad thing. Money is a result of the value you give. Let's embrace that knowledge. If we help people, we'll get money anyway. The more people we help, the more we help them, the more they're willing to pay us. That's the transaction of money. Money is not the problem. Let's do good. Let's create genius products and services, genius books. And then the money will come. Maybe not from book sales. It might come from other things, as Sandra's doing, from public speaking, from collaborations, Michelle, from the partnerships that we'll get to form. The other new ideas we get to create and deliver.
Yeah, I think we're focusing in just in writing the book and become, make a lot of money of that. And it's just, I agree with your message, Annie. It's about doing something that you feel in your heart that, is going to help share that. And and if that is something very aligned with you, something good that you are doing, many opportunities will come from that you don't even imagine, right? It's about just being you, doing from your heart, sharing, helping, and things will come from that. Don't worry about it. I think it's as long as you're very aligned with yourself on what you're doing, don't worry about how things are going to come, right? You need, of course, money for your living, but if you trust that, it will happen for you. You will be doing something you didn't imagine that this book will take you to do. So that's what I think. It's just be very aligned with your mission and what you want to do, and many things will come from that.
Beautifully said, Sandra. Beautifully said. I wish I could say that as beautifully as you. When I say that, Michelle wants to argue with me. I'm saying you just said it exactly as it is. I'm totally with you. Coach, and I say I'm coming to you. Literally, give me 10 seconds, right? So I didn't wake up this morning and think, how much can I make today? Because I come and do my rooms, right? I want to entertain. I want to inform. I want to give my friends a stage. I want to make the audience feel special. That's my goal. Money will come later on from me just doing that. Why else would I show Joan and Karen's book and what they say? I'm saying, don't think about. I never think about money. Money is neither here nor there. It will come in good time. If I keep doing good, money will come. If you write your book for money, you might get disappointed because that's not how it works. Write your book to help people. My message doesn't change. Write your book to help people. If you manage that, believe you me, everything else you want will happen. It will come to you. And the more you help people, the more returns you're going to get, whether you want it or not. It'll still come. Joni won this, the Coach Davis Prize. She bought a book. She's done good, and she bought many books, and eventually the universe says, "Oh, you get the prize! Yay!" That's how it works, right? Coach, I'm glad you came back. We lost you for a second.
Yeah.
Talk to me. How do you know what your readers want, my friend?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and all protocols observed. Michelle, Sandra, Coach, Professor Roxana in absentia, everyone. I'm excited. Any good work, Michael. Great to see you. Deep questions. I have a quiet survey, and I think we should do this survey. How many authors started out wanting to write for money, and they eventually, excuse me, and they eventually get the money? Let me say that. How many authors actually started writing because I just want to make money, it's a lot of money, and then the money comes? Generally, within the creative industries, it's not a common outcome that people design to do their creativity or artwork because they wanted money and money. Pablo Picasso, a majority of the Bach and Andem, majority of the creative guys you hear their stories today became famous only after death. Some of them never saw Pablo Picasso's artwork was not too well known. Michelangelo, a lot of those guys, a lot of the creative people of old, even musicians will tell you that for every album where you have a hit, there are several tens and twenties of tracks that they've done before that time. The people who do every single hit back to back, every single album or every single track back to back, have gotten to a cruise. In many cases, that means they started from somewhere and then they are on a cruise. They've gotten to a height and then it keeps on for a while. And the number is not much. Let's say there are 100 musicians, maybe only 2%, 3%, totally less than 20%, I can comfortably say. So it's going to be 2 out of 10 authors that will hit it that way. And I'm sorry to make it that brutal. This is what statistics and data looks like. So writing must come from a deeper place. So why do we write? One of the problems that I've been battling with, and Professor Roxana began to give me some words for it, is that words are not meanings. In fact, in deep communication, words are a liability. There are feelings, thoughts, and imaginations and emotions that you can never write down. That's the first sign that you are a deep soul. You struggle communicating some depth of thought and illumination that comes upon your mind. And that's a proof that you have something to offer. Now, articulating it becomes an assignment. For me, it took 30 something years before the author came out, but the author has always been there. I think Joanne, who said, once you have something in your mind and you write it down, you're an author already. Now, why do people write? People write to assimilate. Why do we write things down? We write not to forget, we write to assimilate. Writing is the crucible of civilization itself. Your name is your name because it was written down. Your job is your job because there's a contract written down. After 5 or 6 years in a degree course, you'll be given a document to say that you have been found worthy in character and learning. Everything is reduced to names, is reduced to writing. Why do we have Boulevard Avenue? Why do we have Charles de Gaulle? Anything at all is written. It is because of reading and writing that civilization rests upon. So it cannot be a monetary conversation. That is the root of civilization. How much do you pay for identifying a street? So we cannot really put money like that on the work of writing and reading, because the core function of civilization by which you transfer insight, you transfer understanding, you transfer socialization. That's how you become an engineer, a doctor. That's how you become great, like Emmy, who is a PR publishing expert and now is the godfather of LinkedIn. You come on LinkedIn and you write. It's all about writing and reading. This is a writing and reading world. How much did you pay this money for being able to read that my name is Coach David? So we cannot put money. If any author is like that, that's a proof that your soul does not have the configuration of a writer. The configuration of the heart of a writer, there's an internal configuration. And everybody speaking, I can feel that energy. That internal place where you write from is a place that is far stronger than anything. The other thing I like to say is that money typically comes when you understand your world and your audience, and it's a system and a 360-degree move. There are pain points. I think it was the wise King Solomon who said, "To the writing of books there shall be no end." How your money will become, how your book will become money is varied. You look, it may just be one person who will read your material and say, "Come speak for me," and that's your big break. I mean, somebody went on the Oprah show for 1 hour and he sold 500,000 copies of his book. By the time he was coming down from the stage, the publisher was ringing his phone and said, "Where are you? What are you doing?" He said, "I'm on the Oprah show." No wonder that he's having a difficult time printing the orders. All the ordering platforms all over the world are screaming for him. He appeared on Oprah's show for only about less than an hour. That was the end of all his toil, one book. And somebody somewhere will just read your material and then give you a ring or a call. A conference will call you. So the book in itself, of course, there's best-selling authorship, which through Annie's help here, I was able to get. And anyone here, you should actually contract him to publish, to write your book and everything like that. He's a godfather at it. He does it very well. Although he's not paid me for this free ad, I'll still collect that from him later on. But seriously, there is the entire mechanism around how you weave your book into the fabric of society. If you don't do that first assignment of listening to the pain point, then you have a hard time selling it. In fact, the idea of selling a book can be repugnant because reading is not exactly very easy for everybody. People enjoy what they read and they read what they enjoy. So if you write something that does not resonate with me, life is very short, you know. And there are a billion books out there. Why should it be yours that I'm struggling to understand how you wrote it or what you are writing about? So if you do not do that assignment of what people love anyway, you don't even have a fighting chance. The authorship will die right there. If you go after money for the brass tacks of it, you're going to fall flat. And the authorship in your soul, you're probably going to do 1, 2, 3 books and that'll be the end of it. For people who write like Professor Roxana, Michelle and Michelle here, Sandra, Michael, for people who have these things within them, you're first of all, Paulette, you're first of all a being of books, and then it begins to find you. But there needs to be what I call business modeling. I think many authors just write like creative people do, and they don't business model the book. There's a way to engineer the book and put a business model and, by the way, sell the value. Now, I use the word sell the value because people may not know that your book is that valuable. People are busy, life is going on. So you need to craft a model and a way, and it can be pure retail. Get 100 people to talk about your book to 100 people, or you start talking to people about your book and what you've done and have a posturing around it. There's a whole lot of 360 marketing communications energy and all of that needs to go into your book. You need to do that work for yourself because you've written something you want people to know. For me, why did I write? There's a lot I have researched, a lot that I've done, so many things, and I see pain, and the result is right there with you. Many people have results within them, many people have results within their grasp, and yet they are struggling for it. These are the reasons that made me to put pen to paper, apart from the fact that I've had all this understanding for a while. So that's my take on it. Interesting work we're all doing, and I'm excited. I yield the mic now, and I hope I've not spoken for too long. Thanks, Eddie.
No, thank you. You know, people enjoy what they read, and they read what they enjoy. I love that. You know, that's the truth. I think it's for us to decode that, Coach, as you say, to work out what it means for our readers. What do they enjoy? And I can tell you, what they know from what I know about readers. Most readers, they want a well-written book. Of course, they do. They want a book by someone who's credible, someone who understands the issues. They want a book that addresses one or more of their pain points. That's what Coach means by giving them value. I think when it talks about the value, the business model, sell the value of the book. That's what that's what we're here for, right? Too many people do exactly what Coach said. They're right to. I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing. I'm just telling you, if you want to make money, which is, people come to me for a reason, right? When someone comes to me, they're like, I want to write this book. I want to make money from it. I want to sell the book. That's why they talk to a marketer. And my thinking straight away is, who's this book for? What are they going to get from this book? If I can't see it, I probably will tell you I don't see it. But lucky for me, I've got friends like you, friends like Coach, friends like Sandra, friends like Dr. Roxana, who have a reason, that thing Coach is talking about, something from within. You've all, everyone I know has that. And let me check. It's not everyone I know has that. So I know some people write books to raise money. And as you say, Coach, they're surprised when it falls flat on their face. They really are. I'm not. But those people don't tend to pay me, what they should, what they ought to, and all that. But I'll leave that bit alone. But let's learn to sell the value of our books by making our book. This room is called Book to Business for a reason. Your book is a business, whether you like it or not. It's a business. Businesses make money by helping people, giving people what they want, what they need, and then people pay them in return. That's business, right? We must learn to turn our books into businesses. Even if you're writing from the heart, of course you can write from the heart, but you just have to help people. Otherwise, as Coach said, there's 1.5 million books on Amazon every year. 1.5 million books on Amazon every year. One new books every year. Where's your book in all of that? If you're just writing for your pleasure, that's fine. That's fine. It just goes into all the 1.5 million. If you want your book to stand out, people to actually look at it and want to buy it and read it, give them value. Give them a reason. Solve a problem for them. Solve a challenge. That's the point. Superstar Margaret, Superwoman, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Margaret's one of my co-authors, of course, in the book that we have behind me, Lessons Learned from COVID. So I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. If you haven't been to the jam sessions, do go along. Michael, please talk to us. Thank you for coming back, Michael.
Thank you for having me, Amy, and everybody. Good morning. It's morning over here, so I bid you a good morning. I wanted to say something about this thing. Currently, I consider myself an alien from the planet Earth. As a result, the reason why I write books is so that I can transfer my emotions into writing and have you understand what I need or what I'm saying, etc., etc. That's why I write. One of the reasons why I write. The other reason that I write is I am writing here because the book shall outlive me. I want to leave something for those that follow me. So, and that's going to be the book. The book shall outlive everything that I have done. If they happen to forget me, they can always read about me and what I said and understand my character. For those who absolutely and utterly care about what I have to say. That's about it.
No, again, I think that's fair enough. Again, when you say convey your emotions and legacy, I guess what crossed my mind was, where are the readers' benefits in these two things? That's the question I would pose to you, Michael.
If you're a human, you want to understand what other humans are feeling and what other humans are going through. If you put that in a book, then you can meticulously express exactly what you're going through if you can't do it emotionally or properly or transfer it emotionally, even from one generation to the next generation. There's always a gap. So putting it in a book, they
There's a
can
noise
understand.
the noise was with you, Michael. So I just muted Sandra. Yeah, now Michael, look, I think I accept your point on that in that sense. Because people have emotions, and if your book can help them to understand or gain a perspective, maybe find inspiration, maybe find that I'm not alone sort of feeling and realization. That's all benefits, right? That's all benefits for the reader.
Yeah, it also flows with the old African, what do you call it? There's an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone, by
Mm,
yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
mm,
In order for you to go far, I invite you through the book.
mm,
That
mm.
way we can learn together. If I'm
Yeah.
alone, if I want to go fast, I don't need to write a book. I'll just go.
Mm. It's true. It's true. Sandra, did you put your hand up? I'm not sure whether you put your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I had to focus on something else, but I hear Michael talking about emotions, right? That if you want to help, you have to manage your emotions. And I can talk about that from two points of view, right? You want to connect with the people that you trying to help by being human, right? Is the best way to connect with people, being vulnerable, and it does require emotions to be able to share. And of course, you have to manage in that so you can share what you are sharing, whether it's on a stage. You probably have practiced a lot the talk that you want to give, and will get emotional at some point when you're sharing it, but you have practiced to try to manage those emotions in that moment. And in sharing your story in a book, you have go through the whole work within yourself, right, to share an honest experience from totally honest point of view. Sometimes you have to admit where you made the mistakes in your story so that people can learn from that. So I don't know if that was exactly what Mike was the meaning of what he was sharing.
Yeah, no, well, I think having
But
we
I
have
think it's important to be real and to
yeah,
use your emotions. Otherwise, how are you gonna connect with people?
yeah, and I think emotions is how feel how we make people feel is how we connect. I agree with that. I think something tells me, maybe I could be wrong. I say, but I think people, readers, want to see how we overcome. So I'm not sure I want to read a book of someone who is in emotional turmoil and stays there. It's my point, Sandra. I think people want to see the full cycle. They want to see, yes, here's how I got into the mire. So here's how I got stuck, so to speak. Right? Just word for me. And here's how I came out of it. That is what people want to read because it takes them full circle, right? The problem,
Yeah, definitely.
and transformation for themselves, right? Now let's be very clear. People want something that they want to be better for reading your book. And some people are just mired in tragedy, in misery. And no, I don't think anyone wants to read that book. Maybe some people do. Maybe say that. Like you said, Sandra, there's 8 billion people in the world. And people will read now. There's readers for everything. There's people for everything, right? But now I think for us, it's easier, more constructive, more in line with that concept that Coach spoke about. Writing to give value. When we work through the full cycle. Now, here's the issues that I faced. Here's what I struggled with. Here's how I got myself in a better place. You can too, by the way. That's a point of the books that we write from that perspective. So Michael, I think the legacy issue brings many questions to my little mind. So one question is, I wonder if you are writing your book for your loved ones, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids to be. Because I fear, no, it's not I fear, I think it may come to that where they'll look at it and go, wow, look, great granddad wrote this. The world needs to know this, my great granddad's story. And then they'll run with it. And then they'll market and sell your book long after you're dead, Michael. Unless you're going to live 4 more generations of people. You might do. And I know you're a health freak, so maybe, right? But I'm saying, there's different audiences that we need to think about, maybe. Maybe that's a point of this part of the conversation. That it's not just one audience always. There's different audiences, and But just take time to just make it now to write, as Coach said, write down what are they going to get out of this? What's the challenge they're trying to solve, and then how am I going to solve that? That's what comes next, right? What's your solution? Believe it or not, people want a resolution to their issues. They want to go full cycle. They want closure. That's the word I'm looking for, right? They want closure. They don't want just to read a book. You open a can of worms, a load of emotional issues, and then they're like, oh, now what? They want you to solve the problem and then tell them how to solve it, right? Even if you're writing a fantasy book, people want to buy into your characters. They want to buy into your narrative. Some people, believe you me, their only friends in the world are the characters in your book. So they want to love them. They want to, people want to love Harry Potter for, I don't know why, I can't stand the damn thing I'm saying, but people want to love the characters. They look forward to their adventures, their experiences, their situations, their issues, right? And then they want to know that they're winners at the end. This is why I don't watch films, right? Because the formula is so simple and it never changes. Because people want the hero to win. I'm like, if the hero is going to win, why am I watching this rubbish? Because the hero is going to win, right? All that dangling from a million feet up with one arm on a bar. I'm saying, is it dramatic if you make it so, right? Okay. But deep down, the viewers want James Bond to always win, which is ridiculous. That's why James Bond never dies, right? I'm saying your book is the same. They want your characters to win. They want to see themselves in your characters. They want a book that's well written. I can't say that enough. They want a book that's concise. That addresses the points well. That the one that show you as the credible author, the one who knows about this issue. Why should I listen to you?
I want to say something.
Are you dying? Yeah, of course you can, Michelle. Then I'm going to go to Michelle B because I wanted to finish up with what she was saying. Go on, Michelle.
I think that for myself, the type of books that you was just describing, that Harry Potter and stuff, right? Those are fantasy. And I think that a lot of people read those because they want to escape reality. And then when you get the authors that write the reality, they can't accept the truth. And then it all boils down to my own self perspective. I'm not speaking for nobody but myself, that it kind of is a full cycle of everything comes down to a self journey, and people need to accept that there's no destination. You're going to forever be honest. So stop quitting and don't quit. Just stop quitting and restarting. Just keep going, because ultimately everything comes back down to self. So are you writing your book for self-value, for financial, it's on you. But don't criticize when we're not writing your fantasy and we're writing the reality and you can't digest our words.
I can see where you're coming from. I guess we can never criticize the readers, the customers, because they're not going to criticize you. They're just not going to buy the book, which is fine. Right, I'm saying that's fine, right?
Right. Like, I'm not saying criticize readers. I'm just saying you can't criticize the authors.
Yeah. Look, they just won't buy the book. That's what happens.
It's a choice. We all have a choice.
If they don't like it, then they won't buy the book. And look, and to address your first point, yes, some stories never end. Of course, they never end. That's how we have sequels. It's another deliberate strategy that authors use or film creators use to create intrigue about what happens next. If I don't create that intrigue, I would say Dr. Abraham, we used to do the show together. She talks about door openers and door closers, beginning and end. So, if you're smart, you know how to leave the door open for the next book. If you're not that smart, then you don't even know how to start the book in a way that excites people, that keeps them interested. Like I said, there's a simple formula in entertainment. You call it that. Well, edutainment is not too far off, right? You must grab their attention, and then go through this cycle that you mentioned, Michelle. We can't write for everyone. Look, my point is always have your readers in mind, whichever readers that is. If you got multiple readers, then you got a greater challenge. If you can tell a fantasy story, don't look at me. So there's tricks you can use. Are they? Do they end up helping people? Maybe. If all they want is entertainment, to enjoy themselves for a moment in time, then give them that, right? If my readers want knowledge, your readers want knowledge. They want real life experiences. There's a reason why they come to our books. As Coach said, there's a reason why people come to us, and we have to cater for those who we know need our help. That they're the ones we're writing for. So I want to go back to Michelle B's points earlier. Michelle B, are you still there?
Yeah, I apologize, you guys. You want
to? No, don't apologize, please. Never need to apologize. There's one thing you said, Michelle, which I think people don't realize about you. There's many things people don't realize about you, of course. The thing that I think is most important in what you shared earlier is no one knows, or people don't know the amount of research you do across the world. I do. See, Michelle B, she makes friends in governments across countries. She makes friends with professionals across country, across continents. That's her thing. And then she talks, so, go on. So tell us how that works for you, Michelle.
Okay, honestly, I am glad we're doing this today because the reason I started all of this is because people didn't understand, mental health or disabilities. And right now, I have vascular artery migraines that are intractable. And they're not the kind of migraines that other people get. And that's why my eyes change color. And so right now outside, the pressure just dropped. I would say 15 degrees in less than 15 minutes because we're storming. And automatically right now, I can't see you guys. And that's why you see me fidgeting. I see you guys talking, but everything's going.
I don't know about others, Michelle, but you're not even on screen.
Okay, cool. You guys can't see me, so that's even better. Because this is when my tics will start getting in, because I start feeling uncomfortable because I honestly can't see the way other people do. And then also at that point, since I do have a couple TBIs, when these migraines do kick in which you can't take pain pills or anything for these migraines, folks. They're not those kind of migraines. You can't do that. I get really like brain fog, and then the tinnitus goes way up, and that's why I've been lowering the volume, getting up and having to move around a lot because lights and sounds will actually drop me to my knees. And actually, that's the way it is for a lot of youth. And there wasn't much on my condition except my own doctor's wife is just like me, because this is a very rare migraine to have. And you always have it. You are actually born with this. And mine came out and did it to me when I was 11 years old. And so when these happen, your tinnitus and your vertigo goes up. So you automatically feel like you're on a boat, but not just any boat. You're like Captain Hook or something, trying to walk that plank with their hands tied while everything's going back and forth. You're trying not to throw up, and you're trying to catch your balance. And it's very, very hard. And it's honestly why a lot of people commit suicide. I had to figure out a way to make that not happen anymore. And what I've been doing is for 3 hours a day, I actually am on a balancing board, And since I'm dyslexic, I have found a back door to my brain to where I watch documentaries, and my brain watches the documentaries, and at the same time I'm on the balancing board, and my body doesn't want, your body never wants to die. And so my body is actually moving so I don't fall off the balancing board. So at the same time, I'm learning balance and I'm watching a documentary, which is the back door to my brain since I'm dyslexic. And it has actually made me see better, hear better, and I do have less of these migraines. Will I ever be able to drive again? No. I wouldn't want to. There's too many people out there on the road nowadays. But I am having one right now. And it's hard when people aren't, I guess you could say, aren't educated on it. And it's not only aren't people educated on it, we haven't updated any of our own education to what we have found out over what 10, 12 years. When you still go to college or you go to school, you still get the same history books, the same mental health wise and everything, when we have found out differently. And so I think that is my whole reason for writing, is to put out there what I found from every other college and university in every country. I started right here in America at Johns Hopkins. And from Johns Hopkins, there was an amazing, brilliant PhD doctor there that it just gave me case files, not case files, but what they had found out over the years on mental health and just certain disabilities with ADD, and especially for, any kind of trauma. And then from there, I went to Hong Kong to their university, and I started looking around and finding out things. And when I went to Hong Kong, the professor actually from Johns Hopkins backed me on everything, saying she just wants to know, because I'm not a doctor. I don't hold, I hold a couple things, certificates, but at no point do I hold any licenses to do this. I'm just an advocate. But other universities in other countries were just like, oh wow, this is fascinating. She actually has her whole life documented. And so I would hand my whole life over to this university, to these professors in neuro research. And they were just like, wow, okay, that makes sense. Well, we know this country that's looking into something. From there, I went to Australia. And so then I had Americans, Johns Hopkins backing me. I had Hong Kong going, she's a pretty cool chick. And I went to Australia. No, I didn't fly, you guys. I did all this on LinkedIn. And yeah, I didn't fly anywhere. But I did this over a course of 3.5 years. At no point was this I've done this for 6 months or anything. It's been a good 3 to 4 years I've been doing this, and I kind of started connecting every university in every country's neuro department, and in America, every university in their neuro department. And I'm kind of like, this is what I found out, you guys.
It's brilliant. It is. I'm hoping that. Well, I think Michael will be definitely interested in reading your book because he loves his balance board too. I know that much, right? Then other people here will now understand where you're coming from and why your book is different to others.
I want to
Yeah.
add that what she highlighted is the approach I take as well, is the global research, the global inclusion, the global education aspect of it, because it's a blessing, it's a universal alignment, it's God's grace, whatever anybody wants to call it. Michelle B and me aligning that is like a bigger, more divine plan outside of us, because the reality that we live in the States is that the knowledge we seek usually gets discredited because of the lack of formal education, but our lived experience, we have learned in other countries, they seek it.
They do, and
Of course
that's
they do.
what really impressed me is
Yeah.
what other countries took their disabled people and didn't see them and their mental health as a disability. They saw it as a superpower, as these folks bring value to our lives. And I just wasn't getting that for my daughter because she does bring a lot of value. And so I honestly wanted to see what these other universities and countries saw in their disabled and mental health youth. I needed to see it because I wasn't seeing it in myself. I wasn't seeing it in my daughter because I'd never heard it. And so when I went over to these other countries, to their universities, they let me do summits with them, honestly. And I did summits for 3.5 years with every country just to see how they express how they do it. And it was beautiful. And from there, I felt good about myself and I came back here.
I
Now
think that that's a big thing to look at, is that I get often quoted here in the States when they ask about yourself personally, just who's this any guy, because there's so people here local, they're so captivated that this man in the UK has so much interest in you here in Akron, Ohio. And what a lot of people, I'm quoted very often saying, I have more global support than any local support through the last 2 years of my journey. And that is one thing here in the States that we don't raise statistics and like what we're doing, that we're trying. It shouldn't be this way.
And I do feel, unfortunately, here we have, unfortunately, over the years, tied our hands behind our back because we all want the same thing. Everyone just wants it in different wording. And that actually does tie your hands behind your back. And so instead of lobbying, I wanted to advocate, and I learned how to advocate instead of lobbying. And that's where I went out into the world, and I was advocate and say, I want to know I want to feel what your country's feeling with your disabled. I want to know how you do it. And they were very nice and they let me. So it's not like I moved away to a different country and you want everyone. I did it right here at home. And and other countries are very nice if you're interested in what their universities are. When they're neuro professors, they were very excited that I wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
that's
Look, now people know, hopefully our friends understand a bit more about you and what drives you and why you have a book to write that will help people who you want to help. That's important.
I want everyone to get help. I want everyone to see that they are just like other people out there. We've made such a taboo about ourselves that we are afraid to get rid of the taboo because we don't know any other way. And that's what books and education are for, is so we can
Yeah.
start seeing it not a different way, so we can let it out how it is, so we can go forward. Because right now we are all just stuck because everyone's afraid to actually go forward. Because what's going to happen? We're used to chaos. We know chaos, but we don't know hope. We don't know true love. We don't know nothing not being chaotic. And that's
Exactly.
what I'm
I know Michelle Ramos has a similar book in mind with her eighth, no, eighth read or a feed. I don't know. Yeah.
ARFID. Angelina's eating disorder is ARFID. Yeah.
That's another one of your books, your recipe book. How many recipe books are there? Loads. But there's always space for your unique solution, based on your experiences and your understanding of the people who have certain conditions. I'm saying, we have to be more. This is about being focused. Coach, you're typing furiously.
Um,
Yeah, Helen.
he is fierce, fierce.
Yeah, I just have a few. I just have a few things. And Michelle B, you just made my world this afternoon. Super way of putting it. Every author must have that unusual inner place where they write from, something big that the world wants to hear, in addition to putting it in a way that it will help the world. And Michelle Ramos, also thank you for inspiring your world. I just want to add one more thought, and this is my last take this evening. There is a book, or let's make it an idea. There's something I am looking for my next level. Would it be your book? And this is just a general question. If I'm looking for hope despite hard circumstances, despite debilitating conditions that I was not born with, sorry, that I was not responsible for, probably I was born with it, like Michelle, then reading your book and your material and how to get that hope or the audacity to become great despite that disadvantage is the material to connect to. Same for Michelle R. How do I thrive outside of pressure? How do I thrive when I don't have local support? I know what that feels. When I started some of my strongest endeavor, friends and family made jest of me. Till today, people laugh at me when I do stuff, and I have grown so thick-skinned that they now see me as very arrogant because I don't need input anymore. Now that's because I grew through some level of rejection. It would be amazing if I share some of my rejection stories, but poof, it doesn't affect me anymore. I just move on to the next person. What I'm saying is there is an idea, there's a principle, there's something I'm looking for my next level. Would it be your book? Number two, in between an idea and a person or a group. So success is always an idea, a skill, something I have that a group needs. So would your book be the unlocking gold mine for me to hit my next audience or whoever I'm going to interact with? So what is it teach? Is it a skill? Is it a mindset? Is it opening me to a new realm? A book must be a gold mine that unlocks new possibilities all the time or helps me to capitalize on my old possibility. Until I'm able to do that, maybe I shouldn't write. Until I get to the point where the material can create something for me. I'm careful not to use the word value, but something that would unlock a next level for me. Sorry, and when you use words, after a while they lose their meanings, and words are not
Yeah, yeah,
meanings.
yeah. There's many things we use: authenticity, value.
Yes, yes.
I get it, but I love how you explain it. How will I get to the next level? And
Yes.
that's
And there's a formula. Let me quickly share the formula. It is your book or the idea in the book multiplied by its useful addressable audience. The idea that's inside the book or the ideas inside the book multiplied by how many people need it or would need it. This, you may not have empirical data, you may not do any proper research, but once you cannot answer this equation very well, once it's not clear who would need the book, the equation, by the way, is more complex than that. It's also the author's preconceived notion, how many people know the author, who is the author. It's also a factor. Then what media are you advertising through? What is your pathway? How much money do you have to push it? But the basic formula first is the idea in the book, the strategy of the book, multiplied by how many people would need what is inside the book or how many people it will give life to. This formula must be answered by every author, informally or formally, whichever way. But thanks, interesting story so far. I'm still here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, I think look, I love I love your formulas. So the reason I think I see things that fit into your formula. The book that comes to mind straight away when you give your formula, coach, is Think and Grow Rich. That book was written and published in 19 early 1900s, early 1910, 1914, I think, something like that, right? That book, those principles in Think and Grow Rich, they've been there for a long time, over 100 years, my friends, lots over 100 years. Alas, now that book is still a bestseller. I'm always amazed when I go on Amazon and so you find it's still a bestseller. It's a bestseller
If I
every day.
may, I find you just said Think and Grow Rich, how it resonated with you, right?
Yes.
So this is just me thinking, well, listening to both of you was just, I think today or yesterday, maybe, I just shared about a thing from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm-hmm.
That is the very first book of my life I've read that resonated. And what just is coming to mind for me, though, is the way you are with financials and money and the way I am with the systemic injustices, and how these are two renowned books. And like, it's almost like, look how they shaped us.
I agree. That's the point of Coach's equation, right? These books that you and I have mentioned, they can impact many people positively. That's the point, and that's why people still read them today. To Kill a Mockingbird, if I had read when I was at school, that was 40 years ago, right? And people still reading it now. When you ask why people are reading Darwin, why they're reading Shakespeare, why they read because there's things in there that people still want today. That's does your book hold such value? Sorry, coach, there's no other word I can use. Does your book hold such information, such gems that's going to transform people's lives, give them a hope, give them inspiration, give them solutions? Really? Does your book hold those golden gems? If it doesn't, you might want to think again. That's what we're saying. That's what I'm saying, right? Look, my friends, I don't want to keep you here all day, And if you want to give us one tip for working out how your readers are going to benefit from your book or the challenges you solve, please feel free. I'll give you a minute each, and then we have to go. So I've got another room to run.
Okay, can I just quickly say? Let me go quickly.
Please.
I think number one, your book must have origin in the soul, in a very deep place within you, and that's to Michael's earlier point. Number two, it must translate the society. People must have the moment in their lives that the book fulfills. What is the moment in the life of the reader or the consumer of your book? And the other thing is that beyond the book must become a product or a group of products and or services that, because you've written out the book now, you need to you need to do the, what do we call it now? Oh, there's a word in consulting. The word just fell out of my mind. There's a value chain. There's a 360 degrees touch point. There are seminars, events, online rooms, consulting, advocacy, branding, drama. You can actually develop movie plays and scripts. The other one is education. There's academia. There are, at first glance, 12, no less than 12 value pipes. And you must engineer this from one book or one idea. There's even a whole body of knowledge that says if you have 10 books to write in your mind, start from the one with the biggest value pipe. When you start from the one with the biggest value pipe, you probably will have money to continue or motivation to continue to write. So not just writing of books. So those are all the. I mean, if non-fiction can make money, if non-fiction, just because James Bond was not was fiction. I beg your pardon. James Bond was fiction. If total fiction is making box office, Jack Reacher, uh, Jeffrey Archer, all those authors were just writing stories, and they actually made a lot of money by going to the cinema. If they can be that useful, so every author must think through the like I was listening to Michelle D and Michelle R, and I can see the series. I can see drama of a young 13-year-old girls going through this, just create some very strong drama. Get script writers, do script conferencing. At some point, you must put the tilt to the ground to make your idea popular, in addition to writing the book. Yeah,
thank you. If you write a great book and people are reading it, you have more chance of turning it into a movie. And all the things we talked about, the authenticity of your story, your realities, your experiences, your learnings along the way. That's what makes book. That's what turns a book into entertainment, edutainment. Call it what you like. But it's true though, Coach. I think I take everything you say there right from the heart and make sure it does help people. Michelle, I see you've unmuted.
I think that what I want to leave everybody with my writings is that I'm not writing to give solutions. I'm writing to, first of all, educate you about who I am and what I'm going through in my words, because there's a lot of public records that give a narrative, so that's first. But also, what I hope comes from my writings is that it's very unorthodox, it's raw, it's unapologetic, and I will always be that person, that author. But what I hope is that when they read it, it's not with judgment, but it's with the ability to be open to asking the questions that I hope my writing helps you ask, and being part of a solution. Because the one thing that I've learned through the things I write about and I advocate for and I want change in is that no one person is going to give the solution, and it's going to be many people that have to come together.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think Jay is agreeing with us. On people want insight and examples to help them through their struggles. Jay, I'm with you. I think when it comes to, you mentioned solutions, Michelle. I think I always think along the lines of what is the first step someone can take to fix this issue. And I don't know whether you can never get all the answer in any one book, but I think what we can give people that first step, right? What's the first thing they can do today to begin to address the issue and to alleviate their struggles and their pain? That's just a strategy that is in my that's what's in my mind, and that's what I use, and that's how that's what I'm. Otherwise, you end up trying to be perfect, trying to answer all the questions, and that's that book is never gonna it's never gonna shrink. It's gonna be a huge book. Just I'm writing about this events, for example, doing events, and I could give them all the steps, but I'm thinking no, break it down into 4 books. The first one will just give you the theory and the reality of events today. And then I want to end that first one with simply, how do you organize and plan your first live event? That's it. There's many more things you need to learn in between. Don't forget, how do you choose your co-hosts? How do you decide your topic? How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm not going to address all of them. Otherwise, the book will be too big. We can argue one day about what too big means, but size. Bigger is not always better when it comes to books. I love Jordan. That's why I love Jordan Karen's book. It's a small enough book for me to read in 3 or 4 hours, maybe an afternoon, and that's what people want these days. Some people want even smaller books than that. On Amazon, 24 pages, internal pages makes a book. Jay, I'm with you as well. People want entertainment and educational books. Edutainment, we call it, my friends. Edutainment is what people want. Sandra, I don't know whether you're still there. If you want to give us one last tip, then we'll be glad to learn. I don't know. I'm not sure you're still there. I can't see. No. Okay, you haven't. Sandra's still there. Okay. Give us your parting tip, if you can, please.
I cannot see myself in the screen, so I'm not sure.
I can see you. We can all see you.
All right. I just want to be very brief. What I want to share is really the big message of my book. What I'm trying to tell people is that, your voice is like your breath. When you don't use it, it's like you stop breathing. And especially when you are holding back, things. What really the book is my journey of how I was holding my breath for during my journey of my life. So it's just think about it. Your voice is your breathing, and if you don't use it, it's like you stop breathing. So I just want to leave you with that, and I'll be sharing more on Monday in our next promo event, and we have 2 more, and in the day of the launch. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't wait till the proof comes, and I start waving the proof, and that so people can actually see the book in our hands. That's the joy. That's my joyful moment. But thank you so much for joining us. So please do put in your diary 8th, Sandra's book launch. If you can't make it, by all means, please send me or send Sandra your email address so we can add you to a mailing list. That way you get all the information. You get the build up to the book launch as well, which we tend to have a week of emails with goodies for our readers, and then we'll send a link to buy the book on launch day. So if you don't miss any of that, please share your email address, and then we can keep you on our email list. Only for Sandra's book. Unless you're on my other lists. I can't say that enough, right? I don't send people's emails to someone else's email list. That's just odd. That's because it doesn't work. No one's going to buy the book. No one knows you. So anyway, do join us for Sandra's book launch. I can't wait. I'm excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Michael and Michelle B. Anything you want to say before we go? If you don't, it's fine. And I say, look, my next.
I just want everyone out there to know that honestly, you never fail, you never give up unless you are dead. And I have found that in every country. Honestly, even the person sitting on the couch that's not doing anything is breathing. They're moving. So I honestly don't like the word failing. I like using the word. I learned the tool not to do it that way. So now I'm going to figure out how to go around that roadblock and go do it. Everyone can do that too. You can always keep going. Even if you think you failed, you haven't, because you're breathing. The day you fail or stop doing anything is the day that you're honestly not breathing and you're dead. Because even the person sitting on the couch that's not doing anything is actually either pushing a button that's doing something to change the remote on the TV. So we need to get out of our minds that we're failures, because we're not. You can keep going and do whatever you want, no matter how old you are, until you die. And so live the adventure, go have fun, ride that wave of life. Because if you don't, that's your issue and it's no one's else's. And you shouldn't put that burden on someone else. And go have a happy and joyful life.
I agree. And write your book. As Sandra's saying, no, don't keep your voice. Don't let your voice all your thoughts, your realities, your experiences choke you to death, literally. Get out there and write the book, tell the world. I want to publish that book, by the way. In case you haven't seen Jay's book, they say literally, the rules of engagement in storytelling, his 10 steps that will help you to tell engaging stories in business. That's one of our beauties, Jay.
It's not a typo in there either, by the way.
I know there's no typo.
I really read the book. No, I was just saying. So
do you know what really grinds my gears?
I really read the book, and I said, "Did I not?"
It messes me. I'm like, go away, leave me alone. There's no typos in the book.
At least you know I really read it.
Yeah, no. People message me today and they tell me, "Oh, your book has typos." I'm like, do you understand cultural differences?
Exactly. See, but at least you know I read it. And I did say, and how did I start? I said, I don't know if this is a cultural difference, exact terminology. I said, but am I crazy?
Yes, you were asking from a good place, Michelle. There's someone messaged me last week and said, your lessons you learned from COVID is full of mistakes. I'm like, the reason I know it isn't because of the way we work. Sandra and I were talking about this the other day. I'm very harsh on read your book again and again and again. For the anthology, there's 10 authors. We read the book more than any other book. And you can't have mistakes when you got 10 authors, right? Because you can't. It's very difficult. So look, Jay's book is it's a magical book. It is a step-by-step how to tell stories. I love the book for the knowledge he shares in there. So if you haven't bought it yet, do check it out. Connect with him and learn something about how to really tell stories. Because writing a book is ultimately about telling stories, engaging stories at that. The more we can learn that, the more and better books we can write. And I think the coaches said earlier, if you write the book, they're going to have the biggest impact. I might change that, coach. If it's your first book, write a few junk books. Write a few junk books that are just written for the sake of it. That's my advice to anyone. If you have an idea, write about it, because what you're going to do is learn how to write properly. By the time you get to book number 10, you'll be a good writer. Trust me. And that's when you want to give it your best work. And that's when you're going to really delight your readers. So that's take it from me or leave it. It's fine. But that's my truth, right? Look, my next topic in 2 weeks' time is this. I want to know, what do you want your readers to understand from reading your book? What do you want them to discover? How do you frame that thing that you want them to understand and be able to do as a result of reading your book? If that excites you, my friends, do join me again in 2 weeks' time for Book to Business. I will respond to the comments that are there. Please go through the comments yourself and connect. See who's commented and connect with our audience, connect with our speakers, connect with everyone who's here. So let's make some friends, my friends. That's what we're here for. I can't thank Joan and Karen enough. They are my heroes for the next few weeks. Until someone else sends me goodies. Hint, hint, hint. It's a hint.
Anyone send any
was that subtle?
Any needs goodies. Any's a wizard.
I always get goodies. I get goodies all the time. When you do what I do, when you're a publisher, you tend to get people sending you their books, which is it's a lovely thing. I've got many. What was that? 4 packages to open, and I have to do it on video. So until I make a day to record those videos, the
Christmas time for Annie. Christmas time for Annie.
My friends, you enjoy your day. Thank you so much, my speakers. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Sandra, Coach, the Michelle R, Michelle B, Michael, Professor Roxana, Joni. Thank you all for spending your time with us. And we'll see you again, hopefully, in a couple of weeks. Take care, everyone. Take care, everyone. Take care, everyone.
achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. Achieve success with Global.Media.